I love trash anime. I feel like sometimes I'm like a raccoon just digging through the trash, and every now and then I encounter an anime where it actually just hits just right with the right amount of trash, but also a right amount of surprising quality. And that's one of the anime that I wanted to share with today. And it's called The Villager of Level 999. Now, the anime starts like most power fantasy anime, where there's the guy and he's just mogging, he's just so powerful, and he's defeating all these monsters and saving people, and there are people going like, oh my god, like, who is that guy? So that wasn't anything special, but there was one specific scene that kind of caught my eye, and I was like, oh, you know what? This actually might be worth the watch. So I wanted to talk about that scene. As is common with a lot of first anime episodes, there's a self-righteous, pretentious hero who is passionately talking exposition while recruiting people for his party, and the main character is just off the side watching. He is like a hero, and he is along with a sage, which is basically like a higher tier of a wizard, and he is basically asking like, oh, like, who wants to come on this journey for, defeating the demon lord? And first, a young, strong-looking dude raises his hand, and he's like, hey, I'm strong, so I'm sure that if we work together, we can defeat the Demon King. And you're like, oh, okay, like, all right, chill. And then a second adventurer raises his hand, and he's like, oh, actually, like, I want to go too, because you don't often get a chance like this, which kind of shows maybe he's not as strong, but maybe he's more enthusiastic, he's more ambitious, he's open to exploring the world, which is pretty cool. And then finally, the third guy is this experienced veteran. He's so clearly he is experienced, and he has like scars, and he raises his hand, and he basically goes, oh, like, I've actually fought monsters for 25 years, and I'm actually a level 86 warrior. And then he shows his status, and everyone's like, whoa, it's a level 86 warrior. And the hero says, no, you are not qualified. And he says, I don't care how old you are or all this, but there's actually just one thing that is the requirement for joining the party, which is, he says, how much can you contribute? And he shows his status, and he's a level 90 hero, not a level 86 warrior. So then he basically is saying like, oh, like, I want people who are at least as strong as me, which makes sense. It's a meritocracy. I feel like everything tracks at that point. And one of the volunteers get flustered, and he's like, oh, well, then what level is the sage? Is she like level 95? What is her level? And it shows actually she's actually level 42. And then everyone's like, wait, what? Like, you just said that you need people to contribute as much as you, so like, how are you, how does this make sense? And in response, he says, she's going to be an excellent support, she's going to grow into an amazing person, and also, she's actually the princess of this entire kingdom. And you think to yourself, oh, okay, like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, because maybe Sage is like a special support class, maybe it's not like super common, and also she's literally the princess of this kingdom, so it makes sense why she's getting some treatment. Then a priest raises his hand, and he says, oh, like, I'm only level 80, but I'm also a priest, so I can be a very great support. I'm sure I could come in handy. And again, the hero says, no, you're not qualified. And this time he says, the journey might be a long journey, it could take 10 to 20 years, who knows? So, it's bad to have an old man, because potentially you might deteriorate during the journey, and this might not be good for the party. And I was like, oh yeah, like, that makes sense, like, yeah, like, maybe you need a lot of young people, that way, like, this could be a long campaign, who knows? That makes sense. And in response, another priest volunteers, and he he says, well, you know, like I'm only level 72, but I'm 20 years old, so I have a lot of life ahead of me. I can, you know, fight the good fight. But again, the hero denies that guy, and he says, you know, you seem pretty good now, but it doesn't seem like you have a bright future. And then, you know, I think to myself, oh, okay, like, yeah, maybe the hero, like, it kind of makes sense. Like, maybe the hero sees something in him. Maybe he has, like, some kind of power ceiling. Yeah, like, some people might be really strong now, but maybe they don't have the capability to scale into the late game. It's possible. And then finally comes the kicker, which is then another girl priest volunteers, and she just says, oh, like, yeah, like, I'm level 50, but, you know, I also want to be, like, I want to help. And the hero says, all right, yeah, sounds good. You're in. Let's go. And every single person, including myself, watching the anime, is like, wait, what? What's going on? So then a lot of people are somewhat outraged, and they say, you know, like, wait, what's going on? Like, how she doesn't fit any of the criteria that you just said. And in response, he says, she's got a bright future ahead. And then I realized this is a 3-minute setup where the punchline is literally this righteous, self-righteous hero. He actually just wants cute, sexy girls in his party. That's literally all he wants. Which is wild, I feel like. It only makes sense when you watch it in retrospect, but you're like, oh, actually the reason why he denied every single one of those people before was not because of what he said, but it's because they were all dudes. That's literally the only reason. And then one other girl raises her hand and volunteers, and it cuts away because we know what the hero's answer is going to be. We don't need to watch any more of it. It doesn't matter what her level is. It doesn't matter. And I thought that was really funny because the whole time you're tracking and you're like, oh, like that makes sense. Like that makes sense. Like, yeah, you don't want someone too old. You don't want someone who's, you know, like too weak. You want a meritocracy. But then the whole thing just gets thrown out and it's just like, oh, he just wants cute girls. That's literally it, actually. Yeah, and I thought that whole 3-minute lead up leading to that punchline where he just wants cute girls, I thought was pretty hilarious. Yeah, it got a lot of kick out of me, so I thought it was pretty good. Also, there's this small scene where the hero party is killing the monsters, and it seems like the priest is the only one that briefly notices that the main character is approaching them. So I feel like that builds like a little bit of intrigue of like, oh, like actually, maybe there is something to this priest, because it's like the hero and the really experienced wizard, it seems like they're not able to catch it, but this little girl is able to, so then maybe there's something here. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's like a little intrigue. And I thought it was pretty heartwarming when the princess said, oh, you know, like, we're all, you know, equals here. I'm just another member of this party, so you guys don't have to address me like your highness. And that ends up with the wizard and the priest saying, oh, like, can we call you Kuchan, which is just like a cute little nickname. And it leads to the princess blushing, and I was like, wow, like, it's like super heartwarming, because it clearly seems like this is like one of the first times that she's able to talk to people on equal footing because she's like royalty. And it was like pretty sweet. Just some cute sisterhood camaraderie, you know? Also, another thing that I thought was neat was there's a scene where the main character eventually gets into a conflict with the hero's party, and instead of the cliche of the hero's party getting overpowered by the main character and then they get really flustered and angry and egotistical, and then they just like lash out and just kind of downplay the main character and kind of never learn their lesson so that they could just keep being an antagonistic force. Instead of that, almost immediately they realize that they're outranked and they try to recruit him for the Demon Lord party, which I think makes perfect sense. You know, if their goal is to save the world and they find somebody that's stronger than them, then why not just immediately put their ego aside and try to recruit them, because they're clearly going to be of help. I thought that was a really good change of pace. Also, another little bit of intrigue is that afterwards, when the MC is walking away, he just gently whispers to the hero, "You still don't know how this world works." And I feel like that's pretty cool. It's like some kind of intrigue. Like, what did he mean by that, you know? Yeah, for a trash anime that's on like the 9th, 10th row of my anime list and is probably not something that a lot of people will find, I found it really enjoyable. I thought it was a very strong first episode. Now, having a strong first episode doesn't actually mean that they're going to follow through, because we know a lot of examples where, you know, they have really strong starts but ends horribly and then makes you feel bad for even following it in the first place. Of course, you know, these things happen, so I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and everything I said here was just the first episode, so I will personally be following it to see how this develops, and yeah, I just thought I could share it with other people. If you like this content and would like more, please go ahead and subscribe. It looks like we are slowly approaching the 200 mark, which is awesome to see, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya!